Hello, welcome to the Flute 360 podcast, where we incorporate a panoramic view of flute-related topics. I am your host, Heidi K. Begay, and this is episode 78, The Parallels Between Podcasting and Music Making. Today's sponsor is brought to you by J&K Productions. Did you know that not only are they a production company for podcasts, but they are a recording company for musicians? Any musical recording needs that you may have, J&K Productions can fulfill that need. They have all the necessary equipment and expertise to record your next flute recording for college or graduate auditions, competitions, summer festivals, or a flute album. J&K Productions can record any setup imaginable, from solo flute, small chamber, flute and piano, and much more. Consider J&K Productions for your next recording project. Contact them at jkproductions.media. Hi everyone, it's Heidi, and today we are wrapping up Series 16. During this series, I took you on a journey and showcased the parallels between podcasting and music making. If you have not heard the last 3 episodes, I encourage you to do so because I think there's a lot of great content that can benefit you as a flutist. Please follow me on the following social media platforms so you can get all the Flute 360 updates on a daily and weekly basis. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and LinkedIn. Thank you so much. Now on to today's content. I've already taken you backstage and through the recording process, the lessons in those 2 realms, but today I want to look at post-production. The post-production side has taught me a lot of great lessons that I've been able to apply to music making. So let's dive into those lessons. The first lesson that the post-production side of podcasting has taught me is writing show notes. Now, the show notes are there for you, and they show the timestamps, links, websites, and all of that. Now, when I write the show notes every week, it has taught me some valuable lessons. The first is that I need to be concise and to the point. Outlines, obviously, are just the main points. As I've been doing this the last year and a half, I've noticed that when I write proposals for flute festivals and flute conferences, I get right to the point. My thoughts are concise, I use creative words, and this last proposal process for NFA and the Chicago Flute Club, I noticed that I was more creative, organized, and to the point with my ideas than I ever have been before. I attribute this to being a podcaster. Every week I have those show notes to write, and I'm so glad I get the opportunity to do so. My writing skills have improved, and I think that this is a valuable asset for any flutist. At some point, you're going to write a proposal for a conference. And if you don't get into that realm, you are going to be a teacher. So just think of how effective you can be as a teacher to your students if your communication skills, whether oral or written, are greatly improved. The second lesson that I have learned as a podcaster through the post-production side is the editing process. Now, when I edit and go through the audio after Eric has taken out all the ums and ahs, I have noticed that sometimes I have to go back into Adobe and re-record something. So, for example, when I did an interview with Teresa Payne, I mentioned a TV commercial. Now, I thought that TV commercial in the moment was Aflac or something like that, but it ended up being Geico. Well, guess what? I didn't want to misquote, so I had to go back into Adobe and re-record. The reason I bring this up is because I had to listen to the original file and listen to my tone, inflection, excitement, or lack of excitement. And I had to match that same timbre for the new recording. Think about this when we are flutists recording something. Maybe we go back in and we hear a great take of the Bach Partita, for example. Well, perhaps you want to finish the last phrase and you know you can do it better. Well, guess what? You have to be able to match what you have already established. That's just some food for thought. The third lesson that I would like to share with you is, again, within this editing realm. So when I listen to my podcast episodes before I launch it and schedule it through Libsyn, I listen in order to make sure that the content is there, my intent is there, and so on. Well, guess what? When I go through with a fine-tooth comb, it can be overwhelming because sometimes I get real nitpicky. How many times have you heard a flutist say, I am a perfectionist? Right? It's a real thing. So I have to at some point say, it's good enough. And you might be asking, well, when is it good enough? I feel that I have to just let it be when I feel that the general intention is there. I feel like I am being genuine and honest with you guys. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to be able to speak and say every sentence grammatically correct because I'm imperfect. And sometimes I get so wrapped up in how I structured a sentence. Well, if it's bad enough, I will go in and re-record. But at some point, I have to say it's good. If I feel that the overall gist is there, if I'm being genuine as an interviewer, if I'm being a good listener, and I'm being a real human being, then I just have to decide to put a bow on it and wrap it up in a nice package and deliver it to you on that Saturday. So as a flutist, we tend to be perfectionists with a certain phrase or a certain intonation or a certain tone, whatever we are working on for, say, a recital or an audition. But at the end of the day, you are human. You cannot nitpick so much every little detail because perhaps, I don't know, the humanness gets lost. So please remember that for your next recital or audition. So my final thought is, whether you are into sewing or knitting or gardening or basketball, find another world that you can dive into, that you can get your hands messy with, and find the lessons that that medium wants to teach you and apply it to your music making skills. I hope you enjoyed today's content. If you can please rate, review, and subscribe in iTunes, I would appreciate it. Thank you. Today's sponsor is brought to you by J&K Productions. Did you know that not only are they a production company for podcasts, but they are a recording company for musicians? Any musical recording needs that you may have, J&K Productions can fulfill that need. They have all the necessary equipment and expertise to record your next flute recording for college or graduate auditions, competitions, summer festivals, or a flute album. J&K Productions can record any setup imaginable, from solo flute, small chamber, flute and piano, and much more. Consider J&K Productions for your next recording project. Contact them at jkproductions.media. Thank you for listening to the Flute 360 podcast. For more information, please visit HeidiKBegay.com. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please rate and review in the iTunes store. Let's talk about flute.